So absolutely, I'd love to hear about how, you went from that to being a keynote speaker and a personal and professional growth leader and coach and author and host and mentor and corporate trainer and all those kind of things.
Well, in 2019, I decided that after being in the saddle for 30 years,
Mm-hmm.
it was time to move on. It was time to do some other things.
Right.
So, I decided I wrote a book called The Secrets to Living a Fantastic Life.
Cool.
It became a best-selling book within months
Wow.
that I was going to go around the world speaking. The problem is the world had a different idea. I call it the
Hmm.
2 lost years.
Okay.
The pandemic happened.
Right.
Everything shut down for 2 years.
Right.
So, so I decided at that point to start a radio, podcast, which became a syndicated radio show.
Nice.
And it now has 7 million listeners a month.
Wow. That's amazing.
So with that, it became something I did. People would seek me out for my positive messages. I speak on positivity and happiness, which I don't know about you, but our society is sorely missing positivity these days.
Absolutely.
It's missing happiness.
Yes.
And we certainly need more and more of that. So when I speak on these things, it really helps people open the doors and have a different experience of the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We need more positivity. And I think, the way that I look at it is I think we also need more people who pay it forward, who kind of have the spirit of, you know what, I'm going to make somebody else's day better, not because of what they can do for me, but just for the sake of it. Just because when I give positivity, it's going to travel to somebody else and then to somebody else. And so that's one of the approaches that I take. And let me ask you a question. So, when it comes to personal and professional growth, what are some of the pearls of wisdom that you try to offer your clients when it comes to personal growth and professional growth?
I think there's several things that people have to do.
Yeah.
And one of the things they have to do is always have a positive energy. They always need everything to do today. They need to bring it to the game every day.
Mm,
If they don't, they're cheating themselves.
mm,
I'll tell you a little story that
okay.
comes from my book. There once was a carpenter, and his name was Fred.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, he had worked for the same company forever, and he was burned out. So he wanted to quit. So he went to the boss and he threw the keys on the boss's desk and said, "Okay, I'm done.
Wow.
I can't handle this anymore." And the boss said, Fred, you're my number one carpenter. You've done everything for me. He said, "Can you do one more thing for me?"
Hmm.
And Fred said, "Of course. I've loved it here. This is the only job I've ever had." So he said, "Can you build me just one more house? Just one more house? You're my master carpenter.
Hmm.
And only you can do that." So Fred said, "Of course, boss." But his heart wasn't into it.
Mm-hmm.
He dragged his ass to work every day, and
Mm-hmm.
he barely got the job done. But at the end of the day, the miracle happened,
Hmm.
and the house passed inspection. So he went back to the boss and said, "Boss, I'm done." And boss said, "Hold it, Fred. We've been waiting for this day." So they popped the champagne. They had caviar. They had a lavish party.
Hmm.
And then the boss called everybody around and he said, "Everybody, this is Fred. It's his last day. We're so happy for Fred. We're going to be sad, but we're so happy he's doing what he wants to do." And he said, "Fred, as a token of my appreciation, here is the keys to the last house you ever built."
Mm.
But you know why I tell that story? because we never know in any situation
True.
what is that last day
That
and
is
how
true.
we're going to get rewarded.
True.
So you must bring your enthusiasm to the forefront each and every day.
True.
So important.
True. True. I love that. And I totally, one of the things that I tell people or share with them when they come to me for life coaching, for hypnosis, hypnotherapy, for self-improvement, for self-empowerment, for relationship coaching and career coaching and everything else is I always tell them, don't make the mistake of thinking that this is a one-time thing. Whatever you want, you're going to have to replicate and practice and imitate and rehearse every single day if you want to keep it. And now at some point it becomes automatic, but you have to keep perpetuating it. And, I get a lot of people who kind of take this approach. And I think people take this approach not just in mental health and wellness, but, in healthcare and law and everything. They look at everything as like one transaction. It's just like, so it's not uncommon for me to get a request from somebody, I've got antisocial personality disorder. I've got narcissistic personality disorder. I've got borderline personality disorder. I've got bipolar disorder, major depressive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, PTSD, and I've got these other 8 things. Can we schedule one hypnosis session to fix all that? And I mean, it sounds like I'm being facetious, but I'm absolutely not being facetious. And what I tell them is, if all these things are going on, if they're correct as they've been diagnosed or been told to you by other people, then if those things didn't develop in a single day, they're definitely not going to be fixed in a single day or in a single session. And one of the things that I really try to let people know or impart to them is that growth, self-improvement, empowerment, abundance, mindset, those are things that you make a commitment to. And it's not a one day or one session commitment. It's a lifetime commitment to be the best version of you possible.
Absolutely. And this is the thing people have to do. They have to do things over and over and over again until they become self evident, until they become habits.
Yes.
And when they become habits, that's important. It's not a one and done deal for anything.
Right. Absolutely. It's about growth and evolution. And and I think, I truly believe that when you take that approach, it takes the pressure off. If you feel like everything is like the World Series or the last game or whatever, you're only playing for this one game, I think it's a lot more pressure. But if you take an approach that, you know what, I'm going to practice this. And if I fail this one time, it's not going to matter because I'm going to get up and do it again tomorrow. And if I fail again, I'm going to do it again. One of the analogies that I love to bring up to people when I talk about personal growth and development is this. I say, "What's one of the first accomplishments that you've had?" And they'll name a bunch of stuff, and I'll be like, "Well, what about when you learned to walk or when you learned to talk?" When you learned to walk, when you were toddling, when you were falling down and trying to lift up, how many times did you do that? And when you did that, did you ever go, well, you know what? If I fall one more time, I'm just giving up. Well, I mean, if that happened, then people would never learn to walk. But the reason why that people are able to learn to walk and talk is because they practice it over and over again, regardless of whether they're going to fail or succeed that one time or not. It's about growth. It's about evolution. It's not about a one time.
Yet it's amazing if you watch a child learning how to walk,
Mm-hmm.
how they fall down and immediately they get up again.
Yes.
They don't look at this as a failure. They look at this as, oh, I tried that and that didn't work. I'm going to try something else.
Yes. Yeah. And, and the funny thing about it is a lot of people don't realize that that's one of the things that you learn in medical school in neuroanatomy and neurophysiology. You learn that the reason why toddlers, infants fall is because they don't actually have the train tracks, the neurological train tracks. They're building them. So every single time they fall, it's literally the body is getting one more segment in the track for that particular movement arc. And so a lot of people don't realize that. And, we know that now, but we didn't know that in the past. And I think the same is true in terms of other things when it comes to a positive attitude, persistence, fortitude, resilience, all of those things. Transformation, being dynamic, being flexible, being adaptable. I look at all of those as muscles, and every single time you fall, you're a little bit stronger. You're a little bit closer to walking the walk and talking the talk. But you have to be willing to risk one or two or a few failures before you succeed. You can't just give up because you don't win the first time around.
Exactly. That's the key, is that you got to win. You got to accept the fact that you're going to failure. And failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. 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 And I love how you did that, because I look at it like building blocks. And, another analogy that I like to use with my clients is building a pyramid. And the reason why pyramids stand is because of the foundation, because it's made in such a way that the foundation is always stronger than the part above it, and so on. And that's why it's shaped like a triangle. That's the brilliance of geometry, and the brilliance of a triangle is because the foundation is everything. And with that, what I'd like to do is ask you one more question, a couple more questions, and then we're going to wrap up. And then what I want you to do is share all the different ways that people can find you online to get more information about you, to learn some of the things that you've learned and things like that. But before we do that, what I want to ask you is, when it comes to mindset and transforming a mindset from one thing to another, what are some of the ingredients that you feel are vital to doing that?
We've all got to realize that all of our minds have a negative set point. And that's got to do with the fact that when we were primitive animals, we had all these things that were hazardous to us. So our minds were always set on the danger that was
Right.
always scanning the horizon for the danger.
Right.
But we have to rise above the fact that it's the danger out there that's threatening us.
Right.
It's not the danger out there that's threatening us. So we've got to keep our eyes on the horizon. We've got to move away from that primitive brain and raise into the mature brain. And you do that by working on 3 little things every day. You work on 3 little things to get towards your goal.
Okay.
And if you do, you move towards your goal, not away from it. Just 3 little baby steps. That's all you have to do. Now think of it. 3 little steps today. Now at the end of the week, let's suppose you take Sundays off. That's 18 steps towards your goal.
Right.
Pretty damn good. At the end of a month, it's close to 80 steps.
True.
Isn't that amazing?
Absolutely.
How you move towards that
Absolutely.
by overcoming that negative mindset?
Building blocks. Building blocks.
Yeah.
Building blocks. Absolutely. Absolutely. And with that, that's a great place for us to end today. Thank you so much for being a guest today, Dr. Lycka. I have learned so much from you, starting with some of the first things that you mentioned in terms of dermatology and everything. But this has been a real lesson. And I think that your story, your personal and professional story, are grand examples of transformation and movement and evolution. So I think it's something that resonates with me. It definitely resonates with other people in the audience who are listening to this. And I think it's a story of hope and how you should always put your best foot forward, because you never know, that foot that you put forward might be towards building your own palace. With that, can you tell me a little bit about how people can book you as a speaker, how people can find you online, how they can hire you as a corporate trainer, how they can schedule personal and professional growth and development with you?
Go to my website, drallenlycka.com, Drallen, Lycka, Lycka.com, and sign up for my golden pearls. One will come to your mailbox each and every week. Also, if you want to see examples of me speaking, go to Dr. L Speaks. That's DRAL Speaks.com. I'd love to talk to you. Please get in touch with me. I have limited availability, but again, I want to help you to succeed like I've succeeded.
Awesome. And can you tell us a little bit about the name of your podcast and your radio show?
Yeah, my podcast has been reformulated.
Uh-huh.
It's called Live, Live,
Uh-huh.
with Dr. L.
Love it.
It's available on all Apple platforms. And if you want to sign up for an app, it's available on the Brushwood Media app. It's Brushwood Media app. And you can hear me in 17 different languages,
Wow.
including Swahili.
Wow. That is awesome. What's the name of that again?
The Brushwood Media app. It's Live
Brushwood
with
Media.
Dr. L.
Okay, awesome. And what about do you still now, what about radio show and book? Is your book still available?
My book is available. It's called The Secrets to Living a Fantastic Life.
Okay.
It's right there on Amazon. You can pick it up. And as far as radio show, Live with Dr. Al. It's on all Apple platforms.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much. This has been a true pearl of wisdom, learning from you and gaining from your wisdom and experience today. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. And guys, don't forget, go and check out Dr. Lycka's items. Go check out his podcast. Go check out his books. You're going to gain something. You're going to learn something. And that you gain is going to add to what you already have, right? So keep collecting things. Become a collector, collect, but use things. And so what Dr. Lycka has offered here is some brilliant wisdom about how to move forward and how to crystallize things to create empowerment, abundance, success, prosperity. And it's only going to help you. So do yourself a favor, go to Amazon, check out his books on the secrets to living a fantastic life. Check out his show, Live with Dr. L, etc. And do something today as well as tomorrow and every day after that, because it's not a one-time thing, to improve who you are, to evolve, and to become the best version of you possible. And with that, good night. You guys have a great evening. Thank you so much, Dr. Lycka.
Thank you for having me.